Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and I just wanted to do a quick video explaining on why we have seen a huge uphill climb, not only in my portfolio, but in the VOO and other ETFs like SPDR that seem to mirror the S&P 500 index. So as you can see, we had a 0.51% growth day to day for the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, also known as VOO. And as you can see, I have a large position in this holding, but the significant thing about this is not only did we have a decently positive today for VOO, and just to clarify, I believe the normal market hours are from 9:30 to 4 p.m. and then after 4 p.m. or the start of 4 p.m. goes on to after hours. And after hours go from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. as you can see right here. So we had a 2.98% surge just in after hours. And I just wanted to do a quick little video explaining on why this occurred. And I honestly think it's really cool to just take a look at the market and look at surrounding news and see how it affects the market, because I always thought that was such an interesting concept to just view how the market changes based on surrounding news. And it makes it important to keep up with news, because if you're not kept up with news, then it's a lot more difficult to predict what's going to happen with the market in the near future or currently. So just to explain why we saw this surge in the aftermarket hours, not only with VOO, but with other stocks as well. As you can see, basically every single stock that I have here surged in the after hours, and especially my portfolio. I gained $1,884 just in the after hours, which is very, very significant, and I'm super happy about that. But to explain why this has occurred, there's a biotechnology company called Gilead Sciences, and they've been doing research to help out with this whole Rona situation, and they've been conducting trials, and one of their treatments or medicines, we're just going to use a YouTube-friendly term called medicine. So basically, the University of Chicago recruited 125 patients for phase 3 trials, in which 113 of those cases were considered quite severe, and according to a report from Stat News, the majority of those patients have now been discharged, which sort of references the idea that this treatment could be somewhat effective with the whole Rona situation. Now, one thing that I have to say is that it's important to not jump to conclusions just because of the fact that there have been so many things that we have gotten our hopes up over with this whole situation currently. There's been a lot of news and research out there that have gotten people's hopes up, so I do want to be cautious about all of this, but honestly, anything that is proving to be effective consistently, I think they need to do some more trials just to make sure, but anything that is at least being a little bit somewhat effective with this whole situation can help, in my opinion. Now, I do have to admit that I think the market made a very, very drastic move considering this news. I don't know if it really matches the move that the market made, because this is a 3% after hours move, which rarely ever happens. You rarely ever see the market up 3% in after hours. I think that it may have just played a role with the timing on the article and the fact that the normal market hours were ending. So I think that it's important to be cautious that these numbers may be pumped up a little bit more than they should be, given that we don't know the full situation just yet. But regardless, I'm still happy to find out that there is some good news out there, and I'm certainly happy that people are being helped with this situation and that the stock market is also looking better. That's good for the economy, but I'm still being very, very cautious. And I just wanted to do a quick little update video for you all to explain why the market made this move, because if you didn't know about this news, then it would be a little bit strange to understand why this would have occurred. Oh, and by the way, I was just editing this video and realized that it was probably important to mention this one as well, as just how it's having an effect on the market and potentially increasing and helping with this uphill climb. I think that one of the main reasons, also aside from the Gilead news, is that there's just simply a lot of rumors out there of opening back up the United States economy, and there's been a lot of discussion for that with President Trump, and then there's people, of course, that want to get their jobs back and want to open up the economy. And to just give my personal opinion on this, I know that the best way to help the economy would be to reboot it right now, and a lot of my perspective simply comes from the fact that I was a public health major. I got a bachelor in public health and graduated last semester with that. So I spent my last 3.5 years in college just studying nothing but public health classes and outbreaks throughout history and how to deal with that. And the main goal of public health is prevention. It's not addressing the problem once it has already occurred, it's preventing it from happening. And now that this situation has already occurred, obviously, as a public health person, at least in my perspective, I think that we want to prevent it from getting worse. That's our main goal, is to prevent future chaos. And although opening everything back up would be a good idea short term for the economy, you would have to consider how this would have an effect on the whole situation, and it could potentially lead to us basically rewinding back in time and being in that situation that we were in 2 or 3 weeks ago if we don't have effective treatments out there or more effective ways to prevent what is occurring currently. So given that, let's just say that we did restart everything. We reset everything. We started having all of these jobs opening back up. The bars and restaurants started opening back up. Now, although that is good short term for the economy, you have to realize how that could negatively affect it in the long term if we go right back to the situation that we were in 2 weeks ago, and staying in houses and only going to grocery stores once a week would be all for nothing because we would be in the same position that we were in 2 weeks ago, and that would once again further have a more negative effect on the economy than opening it back up temporarily and causing all of these economic issues later on, just a few days after it opens back up. So in my opinion, we have to maintain that social distancing and figure out some sort of way to integrate our economy into that. But right now, even as a person that holds stocks, I do have to take a logical approach to this, and especially with my public health background, I feel like I have a lot more perspective than normal people do. It's important to realize that opening the economy up right now may look good, but not only could it hurt the United States health-wise if we did so, it would also hurt the economy even worse in the long term, I think, if we did so. And that just goes back onto the perspective of if we do reopen the economy sometime soon when we shouldn't, then it could just potentially reset all of the hard work that we've done so far to improve this thing and stop the curve. And therefore, by doing that, it puts us in that bad position that we were in a few weeks ago. So right now, we're looking good currently, but it is only going to hurt the economy and the health of the American people if we stop social distancing when we really need it still. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still a person that believes that the economy is eventually going to have to be reopened back up, but I believe that we have a little bit more leeway in terms of time right now to where if we could get the numbers down a little bit more and maybe find some more effective treatments, then there's more opportunities to open everything back up and simply be careful and know how to regulate everything going on. Now, of course, there's been rumors of how social distancing is going to have to be a thing until 2022. I don't think that's going to fly. There's no way it's going to last that long. Even as myself, as a person with a bachelor in public health, it just doesn't make sense or seem realistic to expect people to do that until 2022. That is just too far ahead. I think we're going to have to figure out better ways to adapt with our current society and the jobs that we do have to just make sure that we can perform those things effectively, but also safely to avoid the Rona situation. So I'm still in the boat of thinking that we need a little bit more time before we open everything back up and opening up all these restaurants and stuff like that. But I'm also not a person that's going to say that we need to keep this up until 2022 either. I think that we need to find the right balance in the middle that is going to benefit both our health and the economy, and I think that those two work hand in hand, and they both have an effect on each other regardless. So if the health is bad, economy is probably bad, and if the economy is probably good, then our health is probably most likely a little bit better as well. So they play hand in hand, and you have to find that right balance. So I just wanted to explain that for you all, and if you did enjoy this video and enjoy these types of small information videos or just me talking about different topics, I'd really appreciate it if you dropped a like on this video, smash that like button. And also, anything that I have said in this video or will say is not to be considered financial advice. It is simply me sharing my thoughts and opinions about the market and discussing what is occurring right now. But aside from that, if you would like to begin investing, feel free to use my referral link for Robinhood or Webull down in the description below and the top of the comment section. You'll get some free stocks if you sign up for both of them, which is pretty nice. Here's just a few examples, but I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.